Hi there, this is Chris over at 3dpalace.com. How you doing? I hope you're having a jolly Halloween time and all that kind of fun. Right, what we're going to be doing at the moment is showing you how to make a corridor. We're going to go for a kind of wood panelled effect and going to try and make it look a little bit aged and interesting. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to build myself a ground plane just as a reference. Just use the snap. So I'm going to press S and just drag it out from one corner to the other on the home grid. Okay, this will come in handy, so I can use that now as my floor. So if I go at my modifier panel and just call it floor 01 and hit F4, and as you can see we have 4 length and 4 width segments. You see them better if I press G now just to hide my grid. Now this will give me a place to kind of work out from. I'm not going to fuss myself about the actual dimensions or anything like that. What I want to do is just convert it off to an editable poly, and I'm going to take exactly half of this, so I'm just going to marquee select here and delete. And I apologise if I'm moving a bit too fast perhaps for some people, however I have to unfortunately work at a fairly brisk pace because I've only got a certain amount of time to do this in. Now what I'm going to do is select these edges here like this, and if I just use my move tool and hold down shift, turn off snap, which is S, and just drag up. There we go, that will create this shape here, which will give us this opening. Now I'm just going to select here and here and just use my bridge, and that will connect those like so. Then if I just select the top parts here like this, and I'm just going to shift and shall I bring it straight up for a moment like that, and then I'm going to shift and move it over here like that, and then shift and straight up like that. Okay, and that will basically do this with the walls, which adds a little element of interest to it. Okay, so we've got this simple kind of part of a corridor and opening here. Now what I want to do is just divide it up in one place first, so I'm going to go straight down here like this. Just use the connect tool, and that leaves me this open area just here. Now what I'm going to do is just grab that and just extrude it just by any distance for the moment. Now go into the top viewport, and what I want to do is just drag this across just until it's level with the middle here, and I'm just doing this by eye. Okay, if you're having problems keeping up, obviously just go back and keep practicing, but we want to get this part here. Okay, right, now that I've got that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close up the other parts of this, so I'm going to delete that part there, and then I want to take this part and just shift and drag them, and then press T to go to my top viewport and just drag them across to this point just here. Okay, back into perspective like that, and now you'll see that we have a kind of roof for our corridor coming, so we have our floor now and our roof area. And what I'm going to do is just go here to here and bridge, or if I select bridge I can do that instead, so whichever's easiest for you. Okay, so now what I want to do is just close off this area of the corridor. So what I'm going to do is just basically put a cap on the end of this, and then we can just put a simple door on it later. So there it is, and I'm just going to click cap like so. As you see, it's set quite far back, that's fine. I don't need to create a door frame as I'm just going for quite a low detail here. However, I probably should anyway, I suppose. So let's see, I'm just going to quickly go over here to my Swift Loop tool, and if we look here, this edge here came down, so I'm just going to go into my left viewport and just straighten this up. There we go. Okay, now back in perspective, because I always prefer to work in perspective if I can. And what I'm going to do is go to my Swift Loop and just create one loop there, and there, there. I'm going to do another one just at the middle height, there and there. Okay. And I think I made that one a little bit higher actually, so just Control Z and just increase the height a little bit like that. There we are. Okay, so still not very many polygons, so that's okay. What I'm going to do now is just grab these polygons here. Go all the way around it, like this. Okay. Now, what I need to do is extrude these forward. Before I can, I should actually make a point of deleting these parts here. That way I can make it a little bit easier on myself later, so I'll just put a swift loop. There we are. Now I can bring this forward if I need to. I'll just do a small extrude. There we are. And then what I'm going to do is just delete those two polygons that I've just created there, and there. So just neaten up this part. And then if I go in and just get these parts so they're all flush, turn my model upside down, and I'm going to delete just here and here, like that. Okay, and now if I just select by vertex, just using the select tool, do a marquee here and here, and just click weld, and it will bring up this little box and we can see that we've lost 4 verts. That's what we want. Click tick. Okay, so if I just hit F4 now, you can see that our corridor is fairly plain, but it seems to be working out okay. I quite like that, although as you can see I've made a minor error here. Well, that's okay, we can fix that easily enough. So what I'm going to do is come over here and just start by deleting that, select this, click extrude, and you'll see it's now jumped into the right position. Just click tick. Now we have a hidden polygon here that we need to get rid of, so I'm just going to click there and delete, and then just marquee select here and click weld. There we go, that's 2 more verts gone. Just neatening it a little bit, and now we'll get rid of these end ones just here and of course over here. There we are. Okay, that's coming along quite nicely. Yep, that's absolutely fine. So that's not bad considering we've only spent literally 8 minutes doing the job. Now I need to change a couple of these edges here because I don't want too many 90 degrees if I can help it. As you can see, we've got some up here, and I prefer having our shapes slightly less strict in angle. So there we go, get rid of these. And just pull it down a little bit. Not a lot, but just get rid of that 90 degree angle. Same again over here. Bring that down a little bit. Then in here. And you have to move it a little bit, and if you prefer using the transform type-ins, of course you can. There we go. And I'm not time-lapsing, I'm just showing you the entire process I'm going through from basically from cradle to grave here. Just come up with something fun. Just a little thing I've been kind of messing around with, fast building props and stuff. There we go. Now the reason I built it like this is obviously so it's tileable. I think that's quite important. That way, you know, I can create multiples of this if I want to. Yeah. And then of course I can mirror them around, so just press A for angle snap and hold this and rotate. And then if I just come down there like that, should see that we now have this kind of shape here. Now it's offset because it should actually be mirrored, so what I'll do instead is just mirror the two. There's a copy, and then it will look more sensible. There we go. So now you can see we start to develop this kind of corridor here with this top bracing and things like that. Okay, so let's go back now, and we're going to look at a quick unwrap. It's nothing that's going to earn you any prizes for, you know, best unwrapping job, but it will do, especially if you're not used to unwrapping. So, right, if I make sure I've got everything selected, obviously this object here, and I go to just my modifier list, hit U twice, I get to UVW map, or if I press it once I'll get to unwrap UVW. Well, it's unwrap UVW I need, because just fast box mapping this isn't really going to pull. Now what I'm going to do is just move this over to one side, okay, just so that you can kind of get an idea of what I'm doing slightly better. And I'm going to just open my UV editor, that's here, and I want to make sure that I've got access to basically all the tools I'm going to need. So make sure I've got everything visible here. I'm going to turn off showing the active map in the viewport because there's just no point in watching that. And I'm going to select everything, so I'll just marquee selected and just move it out of this box. Everything I want to make has to go in this box. That's the important part. Okay then, so we're going to start with the roof. So I'm going to place the roof at the top. So I'll select these polygons, and I'm just going to get this part here. Now you'll see some bits over here being selected too. And all I'm going to do is just quickly plane our map, turn it off again, and I've got this freeform mode selected, which allows me to just zoom around really and do this. Okay, and just get parts in the right place and move it up to here. It's a very fast way of working. So that's our roof piece done, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller just for the time being. If I need it larger later, then obviously I can do that. Now here I'm going to grab those 2 points. You'll see they're a little bit wonky at the moment, and then I'm going to come round and I'm going to grab this one and just do the same again. Notice I click it twice, once to turn it on, once to turn it off. Okay, so we've got these 3 pieces here. Now what I need to do is ensure that these ones are all sewn together. So what I'm going to do is just go over here to my vert mode and select one of the verts. So there we go. That one's not the one I need, it must be this one. Yep. Now I've selected this and this one's gone blue. So I'm going to turn this entire piece around. Just turn it 180 degrees. Nearly managed it. There we go. And if I just get these things here, what I can actually do is just flatten them up on one axis if I need to. There we go, so that'll straighten that a little bit. Okay, now I'm just going to move this over here, and then I'm going to get this one, just move it above it. Okay, and next, if I go to my vert mode, I'm going to go to my tools, and I'm going to go to target weld. Just click here and then drag it to the blue one. Okay, and that just assembles these for us. Now if I make sure these are selected like this, and what I can do is I can basically rearrange my elements like that, just to straighten the selection. Now you'll see the top ones here aren't quite right, so I'm going to go into vert mode, and what I want to do is just bring them down. So I'll just use my move tool. I've got shift held, just drag those down like that, so that all 3 are more or less the same size. And then I'm just going to do that and then turn them around just 90 degrees. Okay, and then move them up here. So now I know that this is the top. I put it at the top, that's going to be our roof piece. I've left some space at the right in case we need it, but we might not need it yet. Okay, with the roof done, we've got a nice easy piece coming up here. So, just going to make sure we've got our polygon selected, And I'm just going to go in and select all these like this. You can even marquee select them if you want. Just be careful obviously not to select the wrong ones. I'm not selecting the door frame yet. So I'll just go around and make sure I haven't selected the actual door frame itself, and I haven't, so this is just the wall. And what I'm going to do now is just click here where it's planar map and then turn it off again, and that gives us this like that. Now we can see what this is obviously, and I'm just going to put that there like so. And then down here we have the floor. Well, what I'm going to do is obviously make sure we have all the parts of the floor we need. There we go. And again, just do that. Now we can see it's upside down at the minute, so we can fix that easily enough. All I'm going to do is just spin that around, and then I'll just move it to a good place. So here you can see we're kind of slotting them together, so we've got the floor here and we've got this piece here. Now this corner here is a little bit hanging down. Makes me realise that there's been a minor error with the model, but never mind. Over here to my left viewport, you can see it. I'll just fix the model. Quickly move this up. There we go, a bit more. Because it's always possible to quite easily repair things when they're low polygon. Go back over here, open the editor. There we go, and I'll just get this corner here and just straighten it. A lot of the time I might automatically pack verts, but I'm not going to this time. I'm just going to do it myself. It's not a very complicated job this time. Right, we can see that we have the inside of the doorway here, so what I'm going to do first is start off with the door itself. Just make a space for that. Okay, and I want to just get our door. Make sure I'm in freeform mode. Just do this. Just make sure that the top is where it should be, and it is. I'll just check this is the right way up. Now our door is obviously going to be quite a feature, so I'm going to make it a bit larger so we can get a nice bit of wood pattern on there if we want. Okay, and over here where this isn't straight, I'm going to make it straight. That was my error, so I'll fix it. There we go. Right then, that just leaves the inside of this door frame, so what I'm going to do now is just select by polygon. Oh yeah, and the outer door frame obviously. Grab there, just do that. Okay, I'm going to move that offside here so it's just out of the way. You can see that's the roof there, so just make it a little bit larger so we know what it is. There we are. And what I've got to do now is do the other side, so I'll just do that as a single planar map again. I'm going to try and get it to the same height as this one. Makes things a little bit easier for us. There we go. And now what I'll do is just move them over to here into this space. It's round about the right size, could do with a little bit of adjustment. So I'll just make them a little bit thinner. There we go. Okay, now if I just look down here, we have this surround. So what I'm going to do is go select it all. Just carefully like that. And now I'm going to select the inside part here. outside. And then over here. Nearly done. There. Okay, and that should be the remainder of our parts. Hopefully. So I'll just do that. And that gives us this area, which I shall move over to here. Now we have these left. And, I see, this is part of the floor, you see. I'll remap the floor in a minute, because obviously we didn't get all of it. But first, what I need to do is just get these parts here. And I'm just going to move them out. And as you can see, when I move them out, you can see the hidden polygon now that was behind them. And again here. And then again over here. Like that. And now all I have to do is adjust the scale, of course, because it's door frame. Make it a little bit smaller, because it's not one that I'm going to put a hefty amount of detail on. Just flip it so that it's not in our way, and stick it sideways on down here. Right, here, this is the border of our floor. Well, that was something I really should have paid slightly more attention to, but it's not something that will take very long to fix. There we go. And then if I just remap it like that, now you can see it's not especially straight at the moment, but that's okay. You can make it straighter. Okay, now let us click that button there. As you see, it's made it straight. Now I'm going to put it here. And just get it into the right position. There we go. And that's our map basically unpacked and ready to use. And if you want to check that it's working okay, what I'm going to do is just close that down and let's go over here. I think I still need to straighten up these things. There we go. Okay, now I'm just going to apply a quick checker map to this. So I'll just press M to bring up my material editor, and I'll just turn it to compact. Okay, now in diffuse, I'm just going to add a quick checker. There we go, and I'll change it to 3x3, that's just enough to test it. And then I shall show it the viewport, do that. Yep, that's okay. No hideous breaks in it. If I turn off realistic mode, down to shaded instead. There we are. That looks absolutely fine. Okay then, so what I'm going to do now is build myself up a quick texture. So if you want to jump into Photoshop, I'll show you how it's done. What I'm going to need to do first is just open up my UVW editor though, make sure I've got everything selected, and then if I just go to render UVW template, and I'm going to render 1024 by 1024, and just click render. There we go. And now we'll get this, and I'm just going to save it somewhere safe and then get to work on it in Photoshop. Okay, so what I have here is Photoshop open with the rendered out texture that I just built. Now I've got this loaded in as my background, and what I'm going to do is create a new texture on top of that. That's just obviously my new layer here. This is the one that I'm going to use to kind of build on, so I'm just going to do a flood, fill it all, and I'm going to change my opacity down, just so I can just see the lines behind it. And this gives me a kind of starting place. And I'm just going to rename this as my flood layer, so I know what it is. Because I'm not working in 3ds Max, I'll use spaces in my things, okay? Obviously you can use underscores if you want. Now I have my ceiling, that's this piece up here. Now all I've done is I've gone across to Google image search, and I've just looked for just free images on the internet. So if I just grab my first one, I'm just going to file new, and I'm just control and pasting from Google, and here I have my first one, which is this, and it's quite nice, although I'd quite like to add a little bit more kind of dark weathering around the edges once I've got it in place. And I'm going to put that in this area over here. So if you just look, I can just push it up here, just find a piece I like for it. Now I can actually make this a little bit smaller as well. I think that's a good idea. So what I'm going to do is go to my image size, make this a tiny bit smaller, so perhaps a width of 300. I'd like to make this wider too. Before I do that though, what I should do really is make it tileable. So if I go to my filter, and I'm just going to offset it. At the minute it's only 300 wide, so if I give it 150 pixels to the right, no pixels down, you'll see we have this line appears down the middle. I'm just going to go to Marquee and just select it. Now this is something you can only do with the newer versions of Photoshop. If I go to Edit, Fill, and just use a content aware fill on that, okay, it'll fill in this area for me. If you're having trouble where it's kind of smoothing it a bit too much, what you can do is just use a smaller area to try and make it work, but it's up to you. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my filter, other, and I'm going to go to my offset and just offset it back again to where it was, so it's at these edges. Now Control A, Control X, and just cut that layer out and go to image. Let me see, I want to go to my canvas size. I'm going to change the width on that to 600 by 200 now. And then Control V, Control V, get myself 2 layers in. First one goes there, second one goes here, like that. And then just flatten the 2 layers together by pressing Control E. And then copy it, Control A, Control C, and drop it over there, just on top of this part. Okay. Now what I want to do is just get to where this part is here. I'm going to change my opacity again so that I can see where everything else is, and just marquee grab around the edges like that, and then do a Shift Control I, delete. That gets rid of all the other bits, and this becomes my ceiling layer. So I'll just fill it in, and if I change my opacity on this now back to about 100, and I just want to use my burn, okay, and then just hold down Shift and just darken it along the edges here a little bit like that, and over here as well. So just adding some areas to it. Change the size of the brush a bit as well. There we go. Okay, just adding a little bit of patchiness to it, like that. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to look at these walls here. Now what I've got for this is some truly remarkable looking wallpaper. It's quite horrible. So I'm going to copy image, because I've got it in another window. File, new, let's bring it over to here, and I'm going to go to image, canvas size, and just double the width on that. Make it 2000, there we go. Oh, wrong one, hang on. Image, canvas size, there we go. Control Z just to bring that back, put that over there, and then Control Z, because I want to kind of tile these over each other a little bit. And yes, I know we can see that line and edge there. Just want to see if we can bring it down a little bit. Might have to trim it straight down the middle there. So I'm going to use Marquee. It's not very even. It's obviously been slightly distorted. Let's bring that over to here. Let's try and find a good place to put it. About there should do. Okay, Control D, and then I'm going to just marquee select this part. Because I want to get here where this is, in this layer, and I want to just do a free transform here and distort. Just like that. Okay, so we're getting a little bit better here. Now, what I want to do here is use my polygonal lasso tool. I'm just going to Control E these together. Okay, that gives me that. Edit, fill, content aware. Just kind of hoping it'll fix that a little bit. It's not too bad because I'm going to stick that over the door. It's a fast job. Okay, so this is where the door's going to be, so Control V. A little bit large, I'm going to drop it down in size a bit then. So image, image size, and let's change the height on this to around about 485. Do it again. That's better, because I only wanted to do the top part, which is about there. There we go. Change the opacity on this so I can see through it completely. Go to marquee mode and just get rid of a lot of parts of it. So there's the top going away, and then this part, and we'll get rid of the inside of it. There we go, that leaves us this truly horrendous looking wallpaper. Now I'm going to darken this out again, so there we go, and just apply some burns to it. Rename this as well, so layer properties, terrible wallpaper. It's like being at grandma's house. Go here and just drag it across. A bit higher, just darken it near the top. Maybe a little bit here, just around where the door is. Darken some areas down a bit. There we are. And let's see, do I have anything at the bottom that I can perhaps put on it? Yeah, I think I'll put some wood, but the wood's going to go up here, so I'm just going to do a quick copy. So copy image. I'm just going to close down our little work areas we've been working in here, and just pull some wood out over that, and let's see how big it is compared to this. That could work. Just going to drag it there. Change the opacity on it. Now normally I'd try and avoid these knot holes and things because people are going to notice repeats. But I'm sure you can cut out the knot holes yourself or find some different wooden textures if you have to. So all is not lost. Okay, and I'm just going to darken that up. And same as before, just use my burn tool. Just go around the edges and darken this up. Really put some marks and stains on it like that. Okay, and again rename it some wood. Okay, now I have to do the bottom part of the actual piece here, so what I'm going to do is perhaps get a nice piece of planking or something. Right, so if I just go to File, New again, this is just one that I've pulled off the internet, just a quick search for. This will do fine. Control A, Control C. And this is going to go in the bottom parts here, so I think it's a little bit big. I'm going to reduce it by about 2/3. image size, and give it a height of about, I don't know, 200. I should do it. Control A, Control C again, and just paste it into this one. There we go. So I'm going to do one there, then one here, and maybe one here. Okay, that should be fine. Now I'm going to just Control E just to make this into one layer, and under here I'm going to give it a name. So this will be Fearful Wood Paneling, of course with Halloween coming. And I'm just going to change the opacity down, hit the M for marquee, and just start pulling parts out again. Just go into here. There we go. Get rid of that. And I don't want to have this part here either, so not when we can have a lovely carpet or something. Okay, and again, just get out our burn tool, go on the bottom here, just darkening it. This is where we'd most likely get a build-up of crap and mess. And same again over here. It's a bit like putting a vignette around a photograph. That's a big word, isn't it? Okay, so we've got that part there. Now, the floor, just going to stick a simple carpet texture on that. So, I'll just show you my quick and easy process for finding images on the internet. And here I've got images.dougal.com, and I'm going to type in carpet texture, and ooh, so many really horrible ones, but this one's really awful, and it's on DeviantArt. So what I'm going to do is just going to grab it. I'm going to look at the full-sized image. It's quite revolting. It looks like an actual photograph of a carpet as well, which is wonderful. And just wait for it to load over here. It'll take a minute or two. To copy image, just by right-clipping on it, new, and then paste it in there with Control V. Image, rotation, 90 degrees in any direction at all. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do is just do a quick marquee grab. Just there to there. I just want to straighten this out a little bit because it isn't really marvellously straight. Right click and just go into a free transform and then just warp it. Just straighten parts of it out. Down here a little bit perhaps. Okay, just hit turn. Control D again. There we go. That's deselected. And I'm going to go to image adjustments. Let me see. So canvas size. No, image size. Yes. Let's give it a height. Really low height. Something like, I don't know, 300. Okay. Zoom in like crazy. And I'm going to do canvas size now. Just change that so its width will now become 900. And make sure this is on the left here. Control A, Control C, Control V. Just move this over until we get this kind of middle piece here. We're just going to try and overlap them. Just hold Control if it's not working so well for you. We're just trying to create this kind of funky pattern here. Okay, that's truly horrible. Control A, Control C. Now, as you can see, our carpet's actually leading to go into this section over here as well, so what we can do is, I think, probably being quite lucky, we don't need too much work to make it fit in its sheer, I'll just give it a name here, Terrifying Carpet Ways. Just change the opacity on this. There we go. Like that. And again, just clean it out. So just going to get rid of the bits we don't need. We can put some incredible old cigarette burns or stuff on that if we wanted to. Remember, if it's technically not a tiling object, then we can't force it to be. Okay, Control D. And I'm just going to up my opacity again. What a truly revolting carpet. Okay, and I'm just going to marquee select a little bit of it, just like this. And just do Control C, Control V, and just move it up a little bit into this segment here. Okay, it's nothing wonderful, but we can kind of blur it a little bit. Just do a Control E just to merge it down to the terrifying carpet again. There we go. And then what I'm going to do, of course, is take my burn tool and just burn the living death out of the edges like this. Just the areas where it joins the wall and things like that. Oops. Zoom out again, and then zoom back in. There we go. Really dirty carpet. Lovely. Some old stains on it. You ever been to a smelly old relative's house? One of those scary ones? Yeah. That's what it's like there. Okay, we've got these doors here on the inside. So let's see. What I'm going to do is go to our terrifying wallpaper here and just grab a piece of it. I think just here should be okay. Control A, Control C. No, wrong one. Didn't want to do a Control A, just Control C, sorry. File, New. Paste it in here and then just do an image. Rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. Control A, Control C. Take it back in again. Because I just want a piece that I'm going to put over here on that. And just change the opacity again. I'm going to make these lovely and dark in a few minutes anyway. Okay, next I want to just go to our wallpaper and just grab a lump of it, maybe this. Control C, and then over here, paste it in again. Just bring it down. For this one I'm just going to change the opacity back again. Okay, now I'm over here and I'm going to drop the opacity. Clean it out as much as we can. Now you've got more time than me to make this stuff match. Sadly I do not have enough time to be going through it all, so I feel pretty bad. I feel like I've left you guys down, so there we go. Darken in there. And I'm just going to attach this layer to it so that when I do this and this, just darken the hell out of it. Okay, there we go. And I'm just going to take a bit of this one down here, just find our merge. So this is now merged into our terrible wallpaper. And now if I get my fearful wood paneling, just grab some of it and paste it over here like that, and the opacity on our fearful wood paneling can go back up again as well, and this one can go down. Marquee select there and there, and just delete. And just go through the middle and delete it some more as well. There we go. Just move it up a little bit more. Not too much, just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And change the opacity on this again. And then go to our burning tool. There and there. And just make sure we burn the living love out of this thing. There we go. Really darken it. Okay, we've still got a door to put in there, but the doors are going to be easy, so let's get on to our white stuff, which is just white paint. So I'm just going to create a new layer and call it some white paint. And I've got the white selected already, so I'm going to go in here and just get these areas there and over here, and then again down here. Okay, and I'm just going to use my brush on them, and I'm just going to make it a normal brush for the minute. So just go down here to my assorted brushes. Let's see what we got. Here we are, nice basic brush. Just going to fill it with some white, which is very boring, I know, but we'll now do something a bit more fun with it. So what I'm going to do now is just create a slightly darker grey material, and then I'm going to go back to the other brushes I've got, which are my brushes here. And these are just brushes that I've found on, 1001freebrushes.com and stuff like that. I've got some nice weathered effect brushes over here that I'm going to use. So put one in here. And I only really want to affect these areas, so I'm just going to use my wand tool just to select them all. There we are. Now I can use my weather tool. Like that. Okay, just gives it a little bit of texture. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it with my burn tool. Like that. And then over the top of that, I'm going to go over with my white paint again. And again, I'm going to have to make sure I've got my correct parts selected. There we are. So I just selected everything else and did a Control-Shift-I. Then with the brush, I'm just going to go and lighten it up a bit like this. So it's just patchy. I don't want it really ruined. There we go. Now, burn tool, nice and small at the top. Just go down and just weather it loads at the edges like this. Okay. Now the final thing I have to do really is put a door on. So what I have here is a load of doors I've found on the internet. This one's even on free textures, which is ideal because it's a door, which I want. Just going to let it load up a bit. Then we'll straighten it out a little. Copy image and file new. Control V and just turn it around. There we go. Now it's not particularly straight. If we just try and get it to be a bit more straight, so just going to do that. And let me see, image, free transform, and I just want to just distort it a little bit. That will enable me to straighten parts out. There and over here. Much better. Control D. Now what I need to do is go to my original piece, and here I can see my door. So what I'm going to do is just go here, make sure my background's selected this time, and just do a Control C. And if I do a new, we can see 201 by 374 is the size I need. So now, if I get this part, there we are. And again, remember the size I want, 201 374. Well, 375 is near as, to be honest. There we go. Control A, Control C. And we should be able to just drop this door now straight onto there like that. Beautiful. And we'll rename this one as Spooky Door of Fear or something. There we go, just so we know what all our layers are. Give it a bit of a Halloween bent. Now I'm just going to go around it and just darken areas on it. Like this. Okay, so it's a little bit darker there. And zoom out. So there's our basic set of textures for this. And all I'm going to do now is just do a save as. And we'll call this our base diff. And I'm going to save it as a targa. There we go. Just wait a minute or two while it saves. There we go. Right, so back in 3ds Max again, and what I'm going to do is just hit M. That'll bring up our material editor. There we go. And I'm just going to go at my next free slot along and just rename this, well, first of all I'm going to change it actually to materials, and if I hit F10 just to bring up my render options, I'm going to change this to mental ray, so assign renderer and just pick NVIDIA mental ray here. Right, now over here, instead of standard, I'm going to change this to mental ray arch and design. And then under diffuse level, where my color is, I'm going to choose bitmap. And then what I'm going to do is go to my folder that I just used. And I'm going to get my base diffuse texture here and just open it. And then just drag it. And if I just click here, you can see that our area here now is all textured in a simple yet effective way. It's worked out quite well for us actually. We've got the door there, literally filling the entire end of that little door corridor, but it's worked out really well. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to show you how to do a little bit of kind of icing on the cake really, and I'm going to load up a program called Ndo2, and that will allow me to create some additional textures for this if you want to. This part's completely optional. You will of course need Ndo2. I believe the links will be supplied with this. Right then, so this is Ndo2. What this is going to allow me to do is create some maps from this that I can use for various functions. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to turn off my background. I'm going to increase my flood layer to 100%. That way I don't get any background in here. And I think I'll turn off my terrible wallpaper for this part, because my wallpaper is not going to have a specular or bump or any of that kind of nonsense to it. That just gives us this part. And what I'm going to do now is, if I go to my convert button, this will convert everything here into a normal. So just mash convert. And then I'm going to wait patiently. And there, as you can see, it's converted the actual door itself into a normal. But it's only converted that layer, it hasn't converted the rest of the layer, unfortunately. Okay, well, that's not a problem. What we can do is load up the scene and just grab it from that. So again, here's our base texture. What I'm going to do is just quickly wipe out the background here. Well, not the background, the wallpaper here. So I'm just going to quickly marquee select it, because I'm just using our base diff. There we go. Like this. There we go. Grab that bit. And I'm just going to use my subtract here just to take that part off. There we go. So with that part I can just hit delete and foreground colour. There we go. Right, so now with this single layer, if I just hit convert, and before I do I'll Control A, Control C and paste this into a new scene as well. There we go. Now if I hit convert, it'll turn all this into normals. And I'll go to my presets down here and I'll choose full spectrum and then just active document. Now if you give it a minute or two, you'll see there's a lot of business going on the right. Quixel really has made an amazingly powerful plugin here. It won't take long, and I forgot to get rid of the wallpaper on the right there, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. And I might pause it because it's going to take a little bit. Okay, and there we go. So it's created this. This is our normal maps that it's actually created from the original file. And we have a lot of control over tiny details and the larger details here. And basically, you can tweak around with it quite a lot. And you can see over here on our preview cube, if I move the light around, you can see how the light's hitting the different areas there, including the planks and the ceiling and stuff like that. So that's fairly cool. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this, if I just hit the convert button, and I'm going to take my normal and convert a diffuse, a specular, ambient occlusion and an all-round height. And I'm going to do it obviously from my active document. Here we go. And this will create me some more maps that I can then use. So there's my ambient occlusion coming in. And then over here, this is creating our displacement, which it's just tweaking at the moment. And then our specular, and it really does want that carpet to look quite shiny, doesn't it? But all in all, I think that's actually done quite a nice job. Now what I'm going to do is save all of these. So if I just go over here and just save as, and this one is our specular, just save it as a target, and then over here our ambient occlusion. So again, just Control S and just call it ambient under target, and then, well, that's our diffuse, photo normal. We've got everything we need here, haven't we? Yeah, we have. Okay then, now what I'm going to do is just close down Photoshop. Okay, and that takes us all the way back over here, and I'll just close down Ndo as well. Off it goes, because it's trying to reopen Photoshop. Okay, I think there's a trial version of that over at Quixels anyway, so that's quite useful. And what I'm going to do now is just quickly go into here and double click on here just to bring up my preview, which is this one. And I'm going to drop my glossiness down to about 0.8. And then I'm going to go in here where my glossiness map can go and throw a bitmap, and I can probably just throw my specular map in there. There we go, and that'll just pick up parts of the wood, things like that. Okay, if I want to apply any bump mapping to this, I can then go into my bitmap over here and see what we've got. Probably use my specular again if I really wanted to. Or I could create a new map for my base diff, which I think I'll do now. Okay, so there's my base diff, and I'm just going to go to convert, and I want to get an all-round height map from my active document. Just wait a moment or two. There we go. And I should get some options to just control some of this height. Actually no, I think that'll be fine. So I'm just going to save as and call this height, not 8, height. There we go, and just save it. Let's see, save it as a TIFF, I suppose. Actually, I don't want to save it as a TIFF solid. I'm going to save it as a JPEG. There we go. There we are. And now I'm going to close this down. And I'm going to create a new map from this one. So I'll just click convert. And I'm going to convert this to a specular from this, which will be different to the other one. Only takes a minute or two. Just let it tweak it a little bit more there, so you can see like the embossing on the wallpaper and things like that. There we go. Okay. And if I just save as, and I'm just going to save it as a TGA and call this bump 1. Okay, and I'm just going to close NDO, because if I don't close NDO first, I can't close Photoshop. There we go. Right then, so for this I can now select my bump file. There we are, like that. And you can see the bumps have all been kind of applied into this now. And then if I go back, I'm going to look at the general maps, and we should even have a few other options we can add here. So I could add an ambient occlusion shadow color, or I could add some displacement if I wanted to. So let's have a look. There we are, this height texture here that I saved as a JPEG. Let's go back here and change the displacement to about 0.25. Okay. And now, with all these textures applied to this, what I can do is just stick just a simple light. Nothing exciting, just stick that there. Make sure shadows are on. And change shaded to realistic. There we go, so we can see the actual lighting effect it's going to have here. Maybe bring that up to about there. Whoops, wrong one. Okay, because we haven't actually built a light into the scene yet. And I'm just going to hit render. Okay, that worked pretty well. So now let's just expand upon it. And what I'm going to do is just take this piece away. Grab this one. And I'm just going to apply a mirror to it. And just click OK. So now we have these two parts here. And then I'm going to mirror it again. So just click mirror. And this time I'm going to mirror it on a different axis, like that. And just bring it across like so. Hit F4 so we can see it slightly better. And then if I take all 4, and then mirror it across to there, like that. And if we go inside it, there's a few spaces there we need to just fix up, I think. I'm just going to bring this down a little bit closer. Just there. Drop back in perspective. It's not bad, it's got a few gaps, but with extra time I'm sure you can fix that. bring that there so we can't quite see the light source. There we go. Should do it. And just open up our render window. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to make it say 1200 by, I don't know, 900. Click on perspective. Show safe frames. Get a nice angle for it. Let's try and get the door in if we can. Hit F9 and let's see how it looks. And this is just a default render setting in Mental Ray. Nearly done. Okay, so I hope you found this interesting and useful. It should enable you to make your own corridors pretty damned easily. On an interesting note, you can also just grab this file and throw it into almost any game editor, and with these textures it'll just work straight off the bat. So you can build yourselves a quite simple load of corridors to wander down. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, please feel free to visit www.3d-palace.com and grab some of our other sets. And until we meet next time, bye bye for now. I just paused it while it was rendering, just there you go. That's how easy it is to get a nice effect. Doesn't take long at all. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in whatever other tutorials you decide to watch.